Hey everybody, I'm doing another vlog here because I'm procrastinating, but I decided to change the scenery a little bit so that it didn't look like the same thing. What do I want to talk about real quick? I thought I would give you my thoughts about the U.S. economy right now. Most of you have seen that the economy is kind of in the cracker right now. The stock market has been tumbling within the past couple of days, even leading to kind of a worldwide drop in the past few days, which has been huge. But the problems are really, really, really deep. And they're all kind of related to one another, but there's kind of a long list. First is a couple of things related to inflation. One is that the price of oil is around $100 a barrel, extremely, extremely expensive. And food prices have also gone up significantly. Part of this is related to the fact that the dollar is really weak. For those of you that buy stuff internationally, you'll notice that the exchange rate has gotten worse and worse over time. So that really sucks if you're traveling abroad, like going to go to Europe or London. It's almost impossible now because it's so expensive. Yay, Argentina, because it's still cheap, which is great. But overall, oil is really expensive, food's getting more expensive, and economic data show that inflation has been going up, so prices are rising in the U.S. There have also been a number of signs pointing to recession. Some economists think that the U.S. has entered a recession, meaning that economic growth might be negative right now, and we've also seen that unemployment might be rising in the United States, which is also not good. And a lot of this is in some ways related to the mortgage crisis that's happening with large banks not being regulated in who they give loans to, and so as interest rates went up, the economy got worse. People were defaulting on their loans, and as they're defaulting on their loans, big banks were having an incredible number of people defaulting on their loans, meaning they couldn't make a profit. The places that they put their investments were then harmed, and it's led to a number of economic problems. So things are just looking really, really bad for the economy right now. There's a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who's dealing with it right now, and his predecessor, Alan Greenspan, has said that in his 18 years before, he did never have to deal with anything this severe. So it's looking like the worst economic crisis in probably 20, 30 years the U.S. is about to face. As many of you know, I teach a class on economic policy making and the tools of the Fed, what they can do to help steer a country out of a crisis. And so I want to talk a little bit about what those tools are and what my recommendations are. I hope this doesn't get too preachy. I hope this doesn't get too like I'm teaching a class or something, but I just wanted to, some of you that actually care, try to explain it in simple terms, and if you don't really care about it, or you think it's getting too preachy, stop watching. So anyway, the government has a number of tools that it can use to kind of tinker with the economy. For the most part, when a country is facing an economic crisis in terms of slowing growth, it wants to try to stimulate demand. It wants to try to make it so that people are buying more stuff. And there are a number of things that it can do. First is that Congress and the President have the power to directly stimulate demand in the economy. And they can do it through two tools. One is by giving tax cuts. If you give tax cuts, people have more money in their hands, they can buy stuff, and that helps stimulate economic activity. Another means is that the government actually spends money. So if the government is purchasing things, that means that demand is increasing. So that is one way that the government can help get out of recession. Most people are familiar with the Bush tax cuts in 2001. They were arguing in terms of stimulating the economy, and like FDR and the New Deal, the Marshall Plan, that helped stimulate the economy also by having the government spend. So that's one tool. The other tool, which has been used much more in recent years, is the Federal Reserve, and they can play with interest rates. The idea is that when you lower interest rates, it should people want to engage in more economic activity. So when interest rates are lower, people want to take out loans. So I'm sure you've all heard the commercials. Interest rates are at their lowest point, refinance now, or take out a loan to buy a house now, or a car now, because interest rates are low. And right now they're lower than they've been since 1990. So you might want to do that. So those are the basic tools that they have that the government can use to deal with it. What are my thoughts on these? First, when it comes to taxes and spending, that comes under the jurisdiction of Congress and the President. The downside of using taxes and spending is that, one, it can be pretty slow because they have to meet, agree on a bill and pass it, and then if they're going to do something like a tax cut, it takes time to get the money back into the hands, or if they spend money, it takes time to actually purchase stuff. So that can be a bit slow. However, from what we saw in the New Deal, it can be very effective in many means, as long as the government doesn't go overboard and spend too much, which can lead to inflation.